I just want to welcome everybody. I want to welcome all you taggers. This is Tag Therapist Assist Group, and I'm here tonight with Alyson Jones, who owns a psychotherapy practice on the North Shore. And I have a bunch of questions. I know some of you have sent in questions already, so I'll be checking those out as well. And also we have the chat on the other side. I'm just going to pull that up. So if you have any questions there, you can ask questions there as well. You can also, I will be giving out later a link. So if you want to get on and actually be seen and talk directly with Alyson, we can do that as well. But to start with, I want to say hello, Alyson.
Hello, Stephen.
Okay, all right. See, I get to switch now back and forth. So now you're on the screen. I don't know if you can tell who's on. Can you tell who's on and who's off the screen?
No, I can't tell.
Okay.
So I'm just going to have to try to look fabulous the whole time.
Exactly. All
I'm
right.
just glad to be on the screen.
Yeah,
So there we go.
Yeah, I'm very happy too. Believe me.
Yeah.
It's amazing. One button not pushed, and
Right.
everything stops. Yeah. So I guess that I'll just start off. If you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into therapy in the first place, and what got you going into private practice? I don't know if you jumped straight from your schooling into private practice or if you took some time. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about how you got into therapy in the first place.
Sure. My journey was not a straight one, as they seldom are, right? They usually have nice little curves along the way. But I I was doing my degree at Adler, actually, and I was already working in a nonprofit agency. And at that time, you probably could work in a nonprofit agency with a BA, and I was doing my MA, so I worked quite a while. I finished up my degree and worked at Cameron Center, and then I was one of the supervisors there. And through my practicum, I'd actually connected way back when with Claire Hawes and Claire Hawes and Associates. And so they asked me to come on and do a day or two of private practice while I was still working at the agency. And then my life took a little turn about 17 years ago when I had twins, and I wasn't able to balance the nonprofit and the private practice at the same time, like I'd previously been doing. So I then concentrated just on the private practice. But I did have several years of experience in the nonprofit and supervising before going into the private practice full time.
Okay, so when you started in the private practice, was it just you when you first started?
No, I joined an associateship. It was Claire Hawes at that time, Claire Hawes and Associates. And there was probably at that time about 9 therapists, 10 therapists
Okay.
practicing with Claire. And I became one of those associates. So I was with a group, although it was still my own practice, but it was an associateship.
I see. I see. So you joined them. So you joined an organization that was already in existence.
Yes. Yeah. So I didn't start it from scratch up. I joined it already in existence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be one way to move through the whole process. You get your education,
Right.
and then you can join a group. That would be one way of doing it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And there was some advantages to that in the sense it was well established. It was already known. And frankly, I didn't have to get out there and get all my own clients. The place had such a good reputation that people just called in and there was matchmaking done at the front desk. So I actually had a pretty pretty steady caseload right from the get-go.
Okay. Well, I'm sure some people are envious of you for
It
that.
was nice. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
that was pretty nice.
Yeah. Because
Mm,
that's talking to a lot of my students and
mm.
some of the other people that we have in our group. They're kind of wondering, like, how do I get clients and all that? And I'll ask those specific questions that go along. So there you were. You joined this pre-existing group, and then how did that evolve? Like, what happened next in that group?
Well, I went along my practice and built it, and I
Hmm.
have tips on, there's two levels. First of all, I did a lot of building. When I decided that I was just going to do my practice full time, I wanted a full practice. And even though I had twins, I wanted a vibrant practice, and I was determined to balance that in my life. So I worked hard to build my reputation and build my client load at that time. Then 7.5 years ago or something like that, um, Claire retired from practice, and I actually purchased her full practice and took
Hmm.
over as kind of the leader of that practice and grew that practice. So for me, I have some insights into how to build your own private practice, but also how to support the practices of other therapists as well.
I see. I see. So here you are. So an opportunity comes up to you, because that's definitely one way. I know that's one of the businesses that I got into. I was assisting at it. I was working. I got hired as a marketing director, and then it was like the old commercial for this. For those of you that are older, Victor Kayam. I love the company so much I bought it.
Right,
And
right,
that sounds like you did something similar there.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Mm,
that's another way in. You can buy a practice.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really curious. You said that you built the practice and you're really concerned and were thoughtful and put some energy into building the practice.
Right.
So, what were some of the things that you did? I know a lot of people are out there that are on their own and they're wondering, well, how do I get clients?
Well, for myself, when I was, encouraging my own practice prior to taking on, trying to encourage everybody's practice, I would get out to every speaking engagement that I could. I mean, you can't, especially in this day and age, you cannot just sit back and think people are going to find you, or just because you're kind of fabulous that's the word's gonna get out there. Like, you have to get your face out there. You have to
Hmm.
talk to people. You have to take some risks, get out of your comfort zones. And I also ended up, I guess you could say, courting relationships with some significant referral sources, finding some physicians that had a really good experience and making sure I followed up with them and went down to their office and talked to them about some new training that I had done that I was really excited about. Talked to them about, what new offerings I had, keeping myself current. And like
Hmm.
I said, any opportunity to get out there. And for me, my practice focused a lot on children and families and youth. So, I mean, I was out at the PAC meetings volunteering my time. That's the thing I think a lot of new practitioners have to realize is you're not going to get remunerated for the hours that you have to put into getting your name out there.
Hmm.
Got to do it if that's what you want. And what
Right.
helps the best is when you start to get some champions, some people that have had very good experiences with you and start to tell other people.
Okay. So you were saying that some of the PAC was one of those referral sources for you. What other
Yes.
groups did you speak with or engage with when you started doing that?
Well, I always would volunteer my time for, like, if there was any public talks going on at the libraries or community
Hmm.
centers,
Hmm.
and seeing if I could do things out of there.
Hmm.
Um, if I, and then for me, as my own practice evolved into a very divorce and separation became a big area of my practice, and so I made sure that I started to attend events in which lawyers were
Okay.
there,
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
law lawyers,
Yeah.
and making myself known. I found out those channels through some of my cases, right? When people would
Right.
come and then they would say they were this was their lawyer and this person was their lawyer. And then I would often be asked to speak to the lawyers. Of course, I would have to get appropriate consents in place. But once I got to know some of them, and then I learned about some of the events and this idea of, gee, there was this big area of psychology and family law that nobody seemed to know much about.
Uh-huh.
So I thought I better start to train myself in that. So I got curious. I went out to everything that I could, spent a
Okay.
lot of time forging connections and relationships with people, because that is the thing that's going to get you the best referrals, is the relationships you have with other people, including other therapists,
Right.
right?
So if I hear you accurately, it sounds to me like marketing or being out there and connecting with people and establishing relationships, that's like almost all your time if you're not seeing clients.
Yes, that is a lot of the time. And now,
Mm-hmm.
there's these other forums, much like you're doing right now with your own forum here,
Right.
where I'm not familiar with all the people you have on your group, but you get to know each other and you
Mm-hmm.
become each other's referral sources or each other's champions. Any
Mm-hmm.
practice group that you join or become part of is an absolute channel towards clients.
Okay.
And the more that people get known in your field, your colleagues, the more that you're going to get known. So it's actually very mutually beneficial to be in a practice group like this.
Right. Right. Great. That's
Mm.
good. I hope all you taggers out there heard that.
And
Before
it's
you,
true, right?
and I don't know if you can see it on your screen, Alyson, but it says Therapist Assist Group, one for all and all for one.
Oh, there it is. Yes. And it's true. We become each other's champions, because you're going to cross paths with people that say, they're not necessarily going to come see you because maybe they know you, or
Mm-hmm.
they're, but they're going to say, gee, I've got this issue. And you're going to say, I remember that person from the tag group, right? That
Right.
really loves working with couples or kids or
Mm-hmm.
youth or, um, you know, whatever relationship breakdowns. And they become a great referral source.
Right.
But it's getting out there. It's talking about what you do, what your interests are, and of course, then as you collect your clients, the second tier is you got to deliver. You
Uh-huh.
got to deliver, because there are a lot of people. Number one thing that clients say to me is, yeah, Alyson, I went to this other therapist and they were a really nice person, but they didn't do anything for me.
Mm.
You're doing something for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you got to deliver. And when you deliver directly to a client, they will become your champion. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but boy, if somebody's writing a check for you, like I worked for years in the nonprofit, right?
Right.
And they were all on wait lists.
Yep.
And that was wonderful. It was the best training I would ever have. I would never trade it for anything. But, though I didn't have to earn those clients, they were waiting for me on a wait list. Now,
Yeah.
I like to think I delivered, and I do, when I look back, think I did some pretty outstanding work there. But it's a different kind of work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they never had to write me a check.
Yep.
They never had to do anything in that manner, right? I just had to keep track for the stats of the agency. But when people started to write me checks, I was like, wow, they've driven a long ways here. I am I am going to give them something of value for their time and their resources.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the second tier. And if you do, they will be your biggest champions.
Right. Now, speaking of our clients, and I definitely have clients too that love me and that want to champion me, and they sometimes give referrals out to people they know, things like that. But as you know, we can't ask for direct testimonials.
No, yeah.
And so, do you have any thoughts or ways around that?
Yeah, that's always been a bit of a challenge for me as
Mhm.
well, because I have my website's really extensive. It's actually a pretty fabulous website. And if I don't say so myself, it's got a lot of links to interesting things. but I'm not able to put testimonials on there.
Right.
And, what you can do sometimes is, if there's ways to bring forward a therapist telling a story, if it's doing a blog and talking about your impact or something, that feedback you may have received from somebody. So it becomes more of a narrative and a story that
Right.
you're sharing, of course, nothing identifying
Yeah.
anybody,
Yeah.
but sort of saying, talking about your process as a therapist too, can kind of get out the message. But it's a tough one in our field. It's a very weird world between meeting all the requirements of our profession and the limitations, and then running a business, because we're quite limited in that way.
Yeah, one of the ways I've gotten around that is when I do non-therapy workshops. So
Right.
it could be communication workshops or things like that. And then when people give me I ask for testimonials, and then those I put up on my website. So they're sort of allied. It's not exactly therapy, but it's
Right.
allied, and people get to hear how other people experience me.
Right.
That's one way I've done. And
Yeah.
also sometimes I do get the odd completely unsolicited testimonial, and then I just need to ask their permission to
Yeah.
use that.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had several that are not even, that are non-solicited, but I'm still kind of careful with them, right? Because
Right,
I don't want anything to look like it's crossing that line. So
right, yeah,
I tend to be a bit cautious.
okay, all right. Better cautious than sorry.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes I like to see if the professional channels that are kind of singing your praise professionally,
Okay.
right? So if referral sources are saying, wow, I know that I feel so confident referring to Alyson Jones and Associates because I know you're going to get a very high quality service, right? That's a different kind of testimonial.
Okay,
So you
yes.
can utilize the professional channels in your,
Okay. All right. Oh, I
right?
like that one.
Mhm.
Make a note of that one. Professional channels. I'm writing that down,
Mhm.
even though people can't see that. I am writing. I'll
Mhm.
just proof. See there, I wrote it down there. Okay.
Good student, Stephen. Learning all the time, this lifelong learning thing. Mhm.
Absolutely. Definitely lifelong learning for
Yeah.
sure. Um, let's see. You were talking about. Oh yeah, what other forms of advertising do you do? So you've got that personal interaction with everybody you see and meet. What do you use? Sort of some of the standard forms out there?
Well, I'll be frank with you. Especially when I first, bought the business and it
Hmm.
became Alyson Jones and Associates, I tried to do a lot of the traditional things like having ads in papers and things like that. And we actually tracked to see if those converted into, because it's called conversion in the marketing world, right?
Right, right.
Did it convert into any clients? It was so small. It was so small that and ads in papers and things are very expensive
Yes.
for what you get. So we really focused a lot more on social media,
Hmm.
and we work with a company that assists us with our social media and makes sure we've got lots of good posts up there, and kind of have a meet the team thing that keeps going up. And so I'm on, I use those on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. And
Okay.
so that's where I've focused a lot of my attention rather than on the traditional
All right.
papers ads.
Right. 'Cause I think a lot of people are moving to social media and using the internet.
Right.
I just one story. This woman that I used to work with, she was fairly new out of school. She worked with us for a year or so, and then she went into private practice, and she was very good with social media.
Mhm.
And upon leaving us, she had a full practice within months.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Everybody's going, "Oh my God!" It's like we
Yeah.
were all shocked that she was going off into private practice so soon, but she had it
Yeah.
really tight as to what was happening and how to use it. Also, maybe you might want to address this. 'Cause I think this applies to you, but she had a real specific niche.
Right. Right.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, that's the thing is it's, whenever you're responding to a need, it's a very different experience than seeking, you know, um, clients. It's
Mm-hmm.
about, there's a problem out there, and if you have a solution, you will start to rise to the top.
Mm.
So knowing what the relevant issues are that are out there, and then trying to find creative solutions for them will raise your profile, period. So for me, it just became, through the years, my specialties have just become, more and more and more and more defined. And so, if you have an area of passion, you have to be careful. You don't start calling yourself a specialist if you've taken one course in something, but if you really want something, pursue it. Professional, develop yourself to the, extreme. Go after it. Get really good at something and then practice it, and then be prepared that it's going to be very difficult. But once you hit the level of specialty in this field, you can get a lot of traction.
Okay, and I'm going to give you an opportunity. What is, we got 50 people belong to this group, and I expect to have hundreds and hundreds belong to this group at some point, and they will see this video is being recorded. It's being recorded simultaneously as we are talking. It'll be available on Facebook on our site for within half an hour, probably, of our finishing, which is pretty
Right.
amazing technology.
Technology is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So what is your specialty? So if I have somebody who might fit that, I can send them your way.
Right. Well, I see mine's become very specific, and like as
Hmm.
the director at my organization, I mean, we have all sorts of people that are in spots that have different specialties. We've got couples therapy. We've got, you know, um, people that work with depression, anxiety, etc. My background was working with, like I said, families and children, and
Hmm.
then through my experience of working with them, and I like to joke around and sort of say maybe I wasn't a very good couples therapist because all my couples were divorcing, and so I thought, holy, I better get good at this, like figure this divorcing thing out, because that's where all my clients were doing. And
Right.
so I got motivated to learn about the things they were talking about, and I did a lot of training in like actually things that related to family law. And then I did my full training in mediation. And then I actually did my training in I'm an arbitrator as well. And then I did my training in parent coordination, which is a new designation that's in the Family Law Act that came out 3 years ago, which basically means I have some pseudo judicial uh, powers, and I can make decisions on high conflict divorces, but not decisions around custody and access, but other sorts of decisions. Then, it didn't stop there. I had to go further. I had to get more specialized than that. Then I launched an innovative program that is very unique, and there's only a few of them really in North America. And that's around doing reunification counseling when there's been an attachment disruption. So
Right.
I've brought together my love of attachment and my background in attachment and developmental psychology. And then sorry, the phone. And then I've married that to the divorce and separation high conflict work I'm doing. So now when there's been a break in a parent-child relationship,
Okay.
our program comes in and addresses that break by basically Humpty Dumpty back together again.
Right.
So we do, but we still do things from collaborative law to mediation to not such high conflict work, but we also do the high conflict.
Okay. So if you had your ideal clients, it would be like if there was a family and there was parental alienation going on and they're involved with the courts, that would be someone I could send to
Well,
you.
yeah, we would be their ideal intervention. They're not
Right.
always our ideal clients. My ideal client is any family that's going through a divorce and separation. And
Okay.
frankly, the most ideal client are the parents that are contemplating it but haven't discussed it with the children yet, because we have concrete, practical information for them. We actually sit down with the parents and give them the information as to what they need to say to their children, how to introduce the divorce and separation to them. That is our ideal client, because when we can intervene on that level, that early, we can avoid all that messy stuff that we also spend a lot of time cleaning up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I have a client for you.
Yeah.
It just
Probably.
twigged
But
in my head when you talked about it. Oh, I know someone.
yeah, it's actually to help those people that really want information,
Mm-hmm.
and even though it's a super sad time in their family,
Mm-hmm.
is it's such rewarding work, because you really can make it better. You can guide them towards a more collaborative process, and you can save them. Frankly, you can save them massive amounts of money, pain, emotional turmoil, just by getting some good counseling in at the get-go. So that's our ideal client.
All right. Actually, you gave me a segue there when you said emotional oil. How do you and your therapist that work for you, how do you manage your own emotional response or reaction dealing with difficult cases on a consistent basis?
Well, and it's always been a challenge working with youth and children and families, and seeing them going through pain and difficult times can be pretty wrenching. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always that balance between being a compassionate human being and being a professional who has perspective, right? Because we don't want to lose our perspective, because if we do, we're not of the same level of service to our clients. So we have to maintain our perspective. It's having a little bit of that step back. And some of the ways to do that is to be able to tell yourself you're doing the good work. This is good work. Not just getting caught in the stories, being able to look at the big picture and how you can assist people in moving right through things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like when I wrote my book, which is MORE, and it was an acronym for Movement, Opportunity, Reality, and Exception. It was all about how do we keep people moving, and as long as we can keep that big picture of movement in place, then we can take better care of ourselves, and then we can take better care of our clients. But if we lose perspective, as we all do at one point or another. I mean, there isn't a good therapist out there that hasn't lost perspective at some point, but you have a good group of people that support you, that you talk to. And if anything, I would say with my team, one of the greatest gifts is it on those days when one of us feels knocked down or
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed, we are there for each other. We support each other. We talk to each other. And when our clients aren't giving us that kind of positive support, maybe, and not that their job's to support us. I mean, working with high conflict, we don't get a whole lot of kudos. They don't like us. We like them still. So that helps.
Yeah.
That answers your question. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Um, and you keep feeding me. It's so great. It's so easy to work with. You mentioned your book there more, because I know, like, I studied internet marketing for years and years and years, and one of the things they always say is write a
Yeah.
book if you can. What's been your experience with writing your book?
Well, first of all, I mean, I think lots of therapists have this vision that one day they're going to write the bestseller and be, like on Oprah, or when Oprah existed or whatever it was. And, in the end, a book it's very unlikely that you're going to
Mhm.
write a book and it's going to hit bestseller status. Or you can make it bestseller in Amazon. There's little tricky ways to do that, so you can
Right.
say you were a bestseller. But let me tell you, it doesn't necessarily translate into any sort of financial, remuneration or success. What
Mhm.
it does do is it's the best business card out there. It's an
Right.
expensive business card, but it's a great business card, right? Because it shows that it gives you credibility. you know, and there still is this, and it is an accomplishment. I know you've written a book, an excellent book, by the way,
Thank you.
and you know, it's great stuff. And so it gives you a higher level of credibility, but it's the rare book that's going to actually
Right.
make its author any money.
Right. So the book really is, as you say, an opportunity to um, have a very high profile, if you will, business card.
Yeah,
I mean, and also people didn't generally throw away books.
right,
they,
right.
they tend to keep them.
Yes,
And for me also, it was the process of writing the book
yeah,
really
yeah.
clarified my own thinking about what I was trying to get out there.
That is an excellent point, Stephen, because I experienced that as well. I have no doubt that I am better at what I do because of writing that book, because I had to think about what I did and I had to learn how to explain it. And I couldn't just ramble, I had
Hmm.
to make it clear.
Yep.
And it made it more clear in my own mind. So I completely agree with that.
Yeah. And for those of you that are contemplating or writing a book or in the process of it, or um, it can take time. I don't know how long it took for you, but it took me many years to write that book while I was working and doing my life, et cetera, et cetera. How long did it take you to
Well,
write your book from
I
start
know
to finish?
exactly how long it took me. It, you know, because I mean, I tend to go at a pretty fast speed. It took me 1 year from beginning
Okay,
to end to publication. But
that's great.
I set aside a day a week,
Uh-huh.
and I was disciplined. I made
Mm,
myself write every Wednesday, and I just kept moving it and moving it.
wow.
I had a very
Wow.
good editor
Yes.
who humbled me and who told me not every word that I said was incredibly fascinating. So yes, I got some humbling, and out of the humbling, I got a better book, and I got it done. So for me, it took a year.
All right. Well, and
Mhm.
that's still a substantial amount of
Yes,
time
yeah,
investment. Like every
yes,
day, every week, one day a week, you're
every
putting
day,
your
1 day a
effort.
week.
Yeah. And what else was I going to say about that? Mm, all right. I'm going to just sort of broaden this out a little
Sure.
bit here. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered through you said 17 years you've been working as a therapist, I think it was?
No, 17 years since I went solely into private
Okay.
practice, but I've been working as a therapist for probably 21 years or something,
Okay.
20 years.
All right. Okay.
Mhm.
So a fair amount of time. So, I've been out there for 20 plus years myself, and we go through evolution and transformation and change, and our thinking change, at least mine did, of how I relate to clients. And as you were talking about, always trying to um, be the best that I could on that ongoing learning, that listening to my clients when they're saying what they need, and always trying to do the best that I can. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered, sort of in particular with your business? Because this particular call is sort of focusing on the business, but for me, the two are kind of the same. My personal challenges, my business challenges often intertwine, intermix.
Well, now I'm curious about what yours is, but you better tell me, but
Well, I'm interviewing you, so you can interview me later.
that's right. So, okay, there's been several. First of all, you know, because you and I touched base, and I know this is about kind of business and stuff, and I was certainly thinking about it, and some are important. And in counseling school, they don't teach us about business and how to do
Right.
business afterwards. And in fact, a lot of therapists are really not very good at business. And being a business is
Hmm.
a really different mindset. Um, so, you know, one of the things is that we have to learn to go with the roller coaster of business. It doesn't, it is going to be ups and downs. There's no
Hmm.
straight line here. So if you're putting your eggs in that basket, you've got to be prepared that it's going to have some very discouraging moments. You know,
Right.
when I bought my business, we proceeded to have a recession really fast after.
Ooh.
And I
Oops.
was like, here I was all woohoo, right? I'm gonna buy this successful business, and then it crashed. And our clients that were coming in, new clients, dropped about money. They're not going to, you know, if they're having trouble paying the bills and getting the food, they're going to put their hundred and whatever dollars an hour towards that rather than a therapist, even though it's probably a time they really need a therapist
Right.
because they're all depressed and stressed out. So you have to be able to have a long-term vision. It's kind of like
Okay.
investing money, knowing that you're
Mm.
going to have times that it drops and then it comes back. So you got to be a big picture thinker. Secondly, boundaries, right? Boundaries, having boundaries, because it can really stress you out having a business. And especially if you're the sole breadwinner or, you know, all of those things, you have to learn how to put it away and
Hmm.
how to move away from the emails and how not to stress out if that referral source didn't pan out or it didn't work. So, and learning to have self-care in that,
Right.
learning to surround yourself with people that nurture you, and also that you have other things in your life to do for music, right? So
Hmm.
that's my happy place, right? If music or listening to music helps.
Okay. Um, I'm just sort of pausing a little bit because the video was catching up there. Google was being a bit slower. The internet was being a bit slow for a second. So you were talking about your happy place, and what exactly is your happy place again? If you can just say that again.
Well, I said we all need to find our things that nurture us, and for me, it was music, right?
Okay.
So it's having the boundaries and knowing when to turn it off. Yeah, you can work hard, but if you get stressed by every curve that comes, you're going to be stressed all the time, and you're
Right.
not going to be able to be the same service to your clients.
Okay.
So you got to
Uh,
just kind of do your best and then get out
Yeah.
of the way.
Yeah. And I really like that idea of the long-term vision.
Yeah.
Uh, a friend of mine who owns a very successful company, when SARS happened, his business went down 30%.
Yeah.
And and fortunately, a number of similar businesses to his actually went out of business, but he had a bit of a financial, um, what do they call it? Like contingency fund,
Right.
and so he was able to survive that period and then grow very quickly after
Right.
that, because
Right.
a lot of companies had gone under, and he's able to take advantage of that as well. So,
But I even found that in, like, we basically had two recessions since I bought the business, because I've tracked both of them, let me tell you, and I pay attention. I keep numbers. I look
uh-huh.
at the numbers. I've tried to make myself more business minded.
Hmm.
So, but we had that same thing where when the recession started to lift, not only did we kind of come back, we accelerated.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you mentioned the difference between uh, that therapist mentality and a
Mhm.
business person's mentality, and I can totally relate to the both because I'm a therapist, but also it's a very similar uh, set of circumstances and personalities for artists. And I used to be an artist before I became a therapist, and they're not business people,
No,
generally speaking.
no.
They're not. It's like the two are opposite. So, how did you develop that other aspect of yourself?
I'm still developing it, even though, I think when I really look at my business, it's a pretty large one in a lot of ways, because I mean, I've got a staff, and we've got, I think, 14 associates, and I do teaching, I do all sorts of things. But I'm still learning. I'm still learning. But I have, in the same way that I got information when I was learning about divorce and separation, I've had to go out and get information about business. But this is where another thing, like the what you're doing tonight, is such
Mhm.
a great service for uh, for therapists and potential therapists and all that to be thinking about business in a more, and talking to people who have really done it,
Right.
right? Because I've been doing, I mean, I ran my own business now as a therapist for over 17 years, and I've ran a fairly big one now for 7.5 years.
Okay.
So yeah, I kept going and learning. As soon as I saw the things I didn't know, I learned to find people that could teach me that,
Yes.
or that I could contract them out to take care of that for me, because I learned I could not do it all. As long as I knew enough to get the right people in place. So like I said, I have different contractors that help me with different things, because I can't do it all. But I've learned enough, and I keep looking for the areas that I don't know so that I can, get in there, dig deeper and learn more.
Yeah, my word of the year is delegate.
Delegate, yes. Yes, delegate.
I guess
Get rid of that.
because one of my challenges is I tend to do it all by myself, and my excuse is, well, I don't have money to hire people. And
Right, right.
what I've learned is that's a slow road to success, doing it
Yeah,
that way. It's just, and it's like pulling teeth, because I have to learn all these skills, which,
yeah,
I'm not an accountant. I shouldn't be
no,
doing my accounting.
no.
Things as simple as that to the, more complex things. And it's trying for me to constantly
Yes.
tell myself, who can I hire? Because it's going to cost me less in the long run to hire someone than to try to do it myself.
I believe that. As long as I know enough about bookkeeping to
Hmm.
interpret, make sure I keep myself safe, but enough to kind of get quality people. But it doesn't make sense for me to do all of my own bookkeeping. That makes no sense. It makes sense from a business perspective. My hour is going to have more value in other ways. So
Yeah.
learning what to delegate and who to delegate to, right, is very
Yeah.
important. And you're going to have to take some risks. You're just going to
Okay.
have to learn
Right.
from them when they don't work out.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So one of the things, through this whole time we've been talking, which is just over 40 minutes right now, I've been going, if I was a new person starting out or starting new to private practice, I'd be going, oh my God, there's a lot of work to do. When I got out of school, I thought it was going to be easy. I just get a job and I just show up. And what I'm hearing is like, no, 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 it's just beginning.
Yeah, but isn't that the fun of it too, right? This is
Absolutely.
like such an amazing field because yes, there is a lot of work. There
Hmm.
is, but it's also good work and it's interesting. And if you're a person who's propelled to do your best, there's so much, such a great road to learn,
Okay.
right? Now it's not gonna, it's if you're looking to start a practice and you want to be complacent, maybe you should look for something different.
Right.
But if you're ready to learn and take some risks and
Hmm.
go with the roller coaster, it's probably fabulous for you.
Right. Okay. I am just going to, if I can figure this out yet, because I've never done this. No, that doesn't work. What
See, innovating in the moment, taking
yeah,
risks. It
yeah,
sometimes
take a
works,
risk. All
sometimes
right.
doesn't.
I'm trying to put up the link here where people could actually come up and they'd be another person so we could actually see them.
Wouldn't
And
that be
they could,
fun?
yeah. Uh, Questions. Yeah, it's not showing. Um, Let me just see. So, oh, whoops. That doesn't work. Let's go back here. I lost myself for a second. Something's showing up here now. Let's see. Okay. Command B. That didn't work either. Uh, that's not going to work. What I'm going to do here is there's a couple questions that people had previously sent in. I'm going to start with those
Okay.
questions. And I actually have that. The reason I'm looking to the side is I'm looking at another computer I have here.
You're just surrounded.
I am. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 screens here.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of a technical kind of question, a very practical question.
I love
This is
practical questions.
okay. This is from Ophir Weissman, and he asks, "What are some systems put in place to become more efficient or automated?"
Oh, that's actually good. I have some answers to that.
Okay, take it away.
So surprise. Who knew I was going to be a technological innovator? But there are systems, and I've learned so much. Again, an area of weakness that I've got much stronger at by motivated learning. But really, in this day and age, one of the things we have found fabulous is to do online booking, having access to your clients where they can learn about you through we have it connected right to our website. So you can go to the website, get information on that therapist, and you can go right there and book your appointment. And then we send out the package for them to fill in the new client forms and stuff. So we can do that all in a way that's so easy for the clients. And what a great service for them. So they love it.
Hmm.
Now the next thing that we're exploring is we're looking at going electronic with our files. So that's going to be an interesting system to be putting in place. And we're always looking.
Electronic with the file. So could you explain that a little bit more?
Well, I'm still learning about it, right? That's the research that's happening right now as we speak. But in the field that I work in, the files are huge,
Uh-huh.
and I've got a file problem that needs a solution in the sense that I've got too much paper, and also I just like the idea of going paperless wherever we can. So
Right.
we're looking at different programs and how to do that.
Okay.
So,
All right.
having our email servers in the cloud and making sure that complies with regulations. But there is so many great system innovations right now for running a business. And in the end, if it makes something easier for you or
Mm-hmm.
your client,
Right.
then it's worth looking at.
Okay. All right. So I just want to let everybody know I've just on Facebook, I've posted the link so that you can join and we can see you and you can talk directly to us. All right. So I've just posted that in the Facebook tag group, and I'm just going to uh, make sure that it's up and happening here. I'm just going to go check it. No, I have to hit post first. That would help. There we go. You can never be too sure. You have to I always have to double check everything that I do. All right, so that's posted. So hopefully we'll get some more people coming on live. And I'm going to ask another question. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Oh, one more comment. Let's have a look at this. Ah, okay. Here we go. So this is from Bessie. How can we overcome the fear of starting a private practice? I'll start there. There's a few more. Oh, I'll read the whole thing. When would I know it is a good time to start? What do I need before I start? Skill sets, clientele, physical location, assets, etc. And what did you do to keep yourself motivated during the first 3 years of your practice? There's a bunch of questions. So if you want me to repeat them, it's
I
not a
kind of
problem.
got them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, it's hard to know what the right time is for anybody.
Uh,
I think when you feel you have an offering, right? When you have a service to provide, then to me that is a great time. And if you're looking from a business perspective, whatever you have like whatever it is, it could be, selling some sort of mechanical device, if it's an offering, if it's something that people need or want. So, are you bringing forth something people need or want? And then how are you going to let them know what you can do for them?
mhm.
So in the end, as a therapist going into private practice, It's not about proving how great you are, everything you know. It's letting them know what you can do for them. So when you feel you have something to offer, then that's probably a great time. If you're still in a place where you feel like, I really just want to collect experience first,
Yes.
look for those opportunities too. Sometimes it's volunteering, sometimes it's finding different agencies or things like that, because it's a different kind of work. But when you feel like, you know what, I got something to offer, something to contribute, then you go for it. And yeah, there's all sorts of practicalities involved. There's the option, are you going to try to look for an associateship to join? Are you going to try to create an associateship with some colleagues? Are you going to be, the lone wolf with your own practice and just concentrating on that? Each and every one of those has an advantage and a disadvantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do some research, figure it out. But I'll tell you what I live by. If I really fear something, then it's time to do it.
Okay.
Right?
Excellent.
If
Excellent.
it's
Yes. Yes.
really scary to me,
Yeah.
then it's probably time.
All right. Okay. So let's just have a look at the rest of those questions that she was asking there. Let's get rid of that. Welcome, Mehmet. He's now online as well. It's interesting. One of the questions she asks is, it's kind of like, when will I know that I have the skill sets to be able to do this kind of work? And I would like to address that for myself as well. I started later in life into therapy, so I thought I knew way more than what I really did, which to start a new business actually was really good.
Right.
I wasn't afraid to just jump in and do it,
Yeah.
But it's, as you were saying before, you have to feel that you have a need there, whether it's a business need or a personal need, or you feel you have a skill set that you can really support people in a certain way, or you can identify with a certain population in your own unique way. I think too many people are trying to do it the right way.
Right.
Any thoughts about that?
That's awesome. I like that, what you said, actually, because, look, the way I see it, first of all, is nobody's ever ready. It's not like you arrive at ready. It's
Right.
not like all of a sudden it's like, I now have the skill set to offer a private practice. It's more like that feeling of, I'm ready to kind of test myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that it's, you don't want to wait. Like I always say, one of my little sayings is, opportunities come before you're ready for them. And you get in there and you just kind of deal with it,
Mm.
right? So a lot of the skill set that you need, you will develop as you go. I am still developing my skill set daily. I don't have it all figured out. And I'm pretty, experienced at this.
Right.
And so I don't want people to feel that they have to magically arrive at that. I want them to know that sometimes you just have to dig in there, and life will tell you the things that you need to learn more about. The key is, are you open to learning it? Because if
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go in there and try to pretend you know everything, I mean, that's not that's a closed mindset rather than an open mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But I will give you a little trick, a little key when it comes to private practice. And this is important for all the people out there thinking about it or starting a practice. Your clients, they don't expect you to know everything, but they want to see that you're confident, right?
Right.
If they feel that they've come to somebody who's really anxious just to please them, they're not going to be that interested in continuing with you. They want to feel, what can this person do for me? And do they give me a feeling of confidence? And sometimes you can give somebody a great feeling of confidence by being able to say to them, yeah, you're right. I probably did push things a little too far that day. I was a little
Mhm.
hard on you, or I was a little hard on so and so, because it takes a confident person to be able to say, maybe it wasn't the best idea to do that. It's not about showing that you know everything. It is about the feeling of confidence that people get when they're around you.
Yeah, and I find that it takes confidence to be able to admit that you don't know.
Right, exactly. So, but you don't do it apologetically.
Hmm.
You do it like, that is an awesome question.
Right.
And I know how to get the answer for that. I'm going to do some work on that. And
Hmm.
thank you very much for showing me that that's something that that might be helpful for me to gather some information for you. Like, that is a confident person, right? And that is
Exactly.
the kind of thing that'll impress clients, and they'll go, wow, because you're being real with them.
Hmm.
You're letting them know that there's things you don't know, but you're not apologizing and being all like insecure. They don't want to see your insecurity. They really don't. Save that for your friends. Save that for your tag group. Like,
Right.
save that for other people. Do not show it to your clients.
Yeah, they're insecure enough. They
They're
want
insecure
to.
enough. They want you. It's like a parent-child relationship. They want you to know what you're doing. They want you to have a plan. Doesn't
Right.
have to be perfect, but boy, they want you to be in the lead.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Well, our time is quickly coming to an end here. So I have this one question for you that I thought we might be able to use to sum up what we've been talking about this evening. And it's called the formula of success. So what, if you could put down into, I don't know, 5 or 6 sentences or so, what would be the formula of success for someone thinking about private practice?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of big question, Stephen.
Well, take as long as you want.
I just don't wrap up with like a big one, the formula of success, right? Look, I think it's about providing service and contribution, being open to learning, being able to take risks. A lot of what I wrote about in my book is about that.
Mhm.
That to me is the ingredients for success in whatever we do.
Right.
What needs to move? What's the thing I can do here? What's the opportunity? What's the reality? You got to be practical,
Hmm.
and what's the exceptional outcome? Like, what's the fabulous thing that can come out of this? We're so lucky in this profession that not only do we get to provide service for people and do the good work, we get to keep learning in it, and we're allowed to learn. Like, we're so fortunate that there is such space for our own learning. So be curious. Let curiosity guide you. Do your best, and then get out of the way of the things that are not yours to control. How
All
was
right.
that?
I think that's fabulous.
Good, good. Yay.
That's the one I have to always remind myself is just to get out of the way of the things I can't
Yeah,
control.
you can't control it all. Just do your best, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Well, Allison, I really want to thank you so much for coming on this evening and sharing your wisdom and experience with us. And it was a real pleasure working with you. And we will have to carry this conversation on further at another time.
Mm.
So I really appreciate everything you said tonight. And thank you for, I know your time's valuable and I really appreciate it. And speaking for the group, I don't usually speak for other people, but I'm sure they're very thankful as well.
Um,
And um, it looks like the group doesn't quite know how to get on either on one-on-one. We have some viewers, but they're kind of just sort of hiding out there, lurking, as we say online. So we haven't figured out this whole system yet. But thanks again, and
well, yeah.
yeah,
Thank
and
you for
so
having me. Right?
oh,
It's been a blast, and I just really, I appreciate the opportunity to talk and contribute wherever I can. And honestly, I think this group, if I ever get an opportunity, invitation back, I'd love to come and talk again, maybe even when I could see people and talk more with them too.
yeah,
But I think it's such a fabulous idea, and it just makes me feel good to know that I think we're upping our profession by having these kind of honest conversations. So well done to you, Stephen, and to all of you in the group. You're doing some impressive things by committing your time to learning more, and you're going to take our profession even higher. So good for you all.
Well, thank you very much, Alyson. And I'll say good night, and we will talk soon.
Sounds great. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so you can just sign off. And well, we're still broadcasting. And let's see. Oh, someone said, thanks, Alyson. That's great. Boy, someone figured it out. Okay, clicking. That's great. Ophir, thank you, Ophir. There is a link on the Facebook tag group that should actually get you in to see, well, I don't know. Still see me. Well, I'm not sure. Alyson, I mean, okay. So technically, there's still a few things that I have to learn here. So this essentially, what I'd like to have happen is the broadcast to stop and then to sort of keep going. Yeah, okay, so you're unable to join. I just got that message, Ophir. Let me see if I can quickly put something up there. Probably not. It's probably going to interfere. I'm going to have to figure out the technical aspects here a little bit more so that we can continue to have this conversation with the people that are all viewing. I want to thank all of you for showing up this evening. And I will probably be on next week, just so maybe we can have like a hangout so there won't be an interview, but just all of us, and we can communicate and introduce ourselves and find out what are the challenges and what are the things that we want to see and hear on this group and how we can support each other. So I'm hot and sweaty. It's a warm night here in Vancouver, and I look forward to speaking to all of you as soon as possible. So take care, and you'll be able to see this broadcast on the tag group at your leisure. We had some technical problems in the first 5 minutes or so, so it'll be a lot of me and doing